What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Broad Street Boys, and today we're going to do a straight Phillies Sixers episode. Starting with the Sixers, we're going to talk about. We have a week and a half left, pretty much, of the season, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. The season ends on April 12th, and then the play-in games start right after that. Hopefully, we're not in the play-in, although I will get into all of that come up here in a second. Then after that, we're going to talk about the Phillies and my thoughts about the Phillies and how I'm going to be a little more positive than if they lost today. I'm recording this on Wednesday, so this is after the Justin Crawford walk-off. Um, I'm going to be a little more positive than you would think, and I'm going to try my best to not, hate on them too much. But we'll see how long that lasts. So we'll see. But yeah, this should be a good one. I'm definitely starting with the Sixers. Though I feel like I don't really understand why everybody doesn't start with the Sixers right now. They're literally battling for that 6 seed. Like it's a full on battle. I wish they beat the Heat the other day. But yeah, so we're gonna start straight into the Sixers. So yeah, the Sixers have a few games left. They're actually playing right now as I speak. So once I get off of this, I'm totally gonna watch them against the Wizards. Hopefully, they're winning right now. I put a little parlay on Paul George and VJ, so we'll see. But that's the one I want to start with first. Actually, no, I lied. What I actually want to start with is that everybody's healthy right now. Didn't think I'd be saying that a few months ago. Like a few months ago, I would probably been like, okay, someone's going to be hurt by April 1st, and everybody's healthy. Knock on wood. I need everybody to hear this. Thank you. Everybody's healthy somehow. The Sixers look really good, and I need them. These next few games, week and a half, are actually way more crucial than I think a lot of people think. Because if this team really does stay healthy, then these games of them like learning how to play with each other again are absolutely huge. Which even makes me feel like, okay, if we do get that 7 seed, then that's okay. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. I would much rather the 6 seed, just to stay out of the play-in, just overall. But at the same time, like whatever. That's where I'm at with the play-in tournament. And it's weird that the Hawks are ahead of us. I guess the Hawks have been pretty good, but they did just literally trade Trae Young. So like I'm just like, why? How are they this good? But that's beyond the point. But at the same time, the Hawks have been weirdly healthy all year outside of Trae Young. So that they've had that going for them, and they're a really young core. So, um, but yeah, so these next few weeks, or I guess week and a half, is absolutely huge for everybody to learn how to play with each other again. I need to see Embiid on the court a little more often as well. I know he's sitting tonight. I think honestly he's sitting tonight because it's the Wizards. No offense to the Wizards fans out there, but you guys are actually intentionally trying to lose games. Like you did let Bam Adebayo score 83 points against you guys. That's insane to say out loud. But it's like little things like that. I'm just like, are you really trying to win games, or do you just want a shot at AJ Devanza or Darren Peterson? But I think that's why he's not playing. That's what I'm going to kind of go with. Apparently, he also has an illness that I listened to the radio today, and they said that it was also slightly a thing in Miami as well. So hopefully he feels better overall and doesn't give it to anybody else. I need to see him on the court, and I need to say something as well about Paul George. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about Paul George in the city for some reason. By the way, I feel like we have so many questions about him because of his salary, which makes sense. And people like to say it's the worst salary in the league. Is it a good salary? Absolutely not. But is it the worst salary in the entire NBA? Absolutely not. There are way worse salaries than Paul George, and I feel like he's using that as a little motivation. I can actually already see it within the games that he's come back. It's not just Paul George. Whenever anybody hears about Paul George's name, just overall, everybody thinks Paul George is like this, is just pure scorer that all he does is score points. And does he score points? Yes. But at the same time, he's also really good on defense. And I feel like that's something that we didn't necessarily think about, or at least I didn't necessarily think about when we signed. We were like, oh my gosh, we're actually going to have to put up 150 points a game because we're not going to be able to defend. Because at the time, we didn't have VJ, so it's just Maxi. It was great on offense, mid to average on defense. Paul George, who we thought was mid on defense, and then Joel, who can't really jump anymore. So we were like, they're going to have to score 150 points, and if not, they're going to lose. But at this point, I'm kind of thinking the other way. Like, Paul George provides a ton of value defensively, and I hope people start to actually see that now that he's back from his 25-game suspension, which was crazy to even think about that he got suspended for that. And I listen, it's totally within the league's got guidelines and you can't take certain drugs. But I just can't believe he was on that. And yeah, I mean, it was a long 25 games too. There were some ups and there was some definitely downs. But having him back is such it's actually huge for the team overall on defense, and it takes so much pressure off of players like Quentin Grimes and Kelly Oubre to stay healthy and to go 100% all the time, so they don't necessarily have to all the time. And it also takes actually gets them off their feet and actually gets them some rest, especially when Paul George is actually in the game or starts. Like Kelly Oubre recently has not been starting, and they've been playing Dominic Barlow at the four, which I kind of like. And Barlow is just the classic, the four, just absolute scrappy, player. He's actually fun to watch. Like he'll start diving all over the court. Is actually very fun. But yeah, no, this team is becoming to be fun to watch. The Miami game was interesting because we beat the Hornets in the game before, and I watched a lot of that game. And that game was, if you missed that game, you missed a gem of a game. Like that was ridiculous. I think the Sixers went down like 10 at one point. They came all the way back, but then the Hornets kept making it close or going ahead by like 5, but then the Sixers kept bringing it back. It was such a good game, but they actually ended up winning that game. And then that was like, ooh, I was like, okay, like let's start playing basketball now. I'm like, okay, everybody's playing really well now. All of a sudden, and then the Heat game happens, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about the Heat game at the end, that the offense looks stagnant, but they literally played that zone. I don't know if people watched, but it was either a 3-2 or 3-2. It's either a 2-3 or a 3-2 zone, and they absolutely made it so hard for anything in the interior by the basket. It was really interesting because we had to shoot really well from the 3-point line, and I actually didn't hate how we attacked it either. I didn't hate the Embiid ball screens and then him either rolling out or actually cutting to the basket and that he would do something within. Like I didn't hate that, but I could tell that I also watched that game. I think it was the second half of that game because that was when the Phillies were getting beat 13-2, which believe me, I'll get into that. But I watched the second half of that game, and it was almost like they were playing like, okay, let's survive the zone now because they're gonna come out of it eventually. They never came out of it, by the way. And I think that they were just thinking that they were gonna come out of it eventually, and they just never did. So that was interesting to see, and the mentality of that was odd. Maxi's finger looks okay. He is playing a little. I don't know how to say. Hesitant's the wrong word, but he is playing a little weird because I think he's trying to protect it. And I think it hurt a little more than he was trying to lead on, and as it should. It's literally your pinky and he broke it. So I don't really, or yeah, I think it was a fracture, whatever. It was hurt bad. So I honestly don't really blame him for coming off a little slow. But at the same time, if slow is 35 points or whatever he had on against the Heat, that's pretty good if you ask me. But I just need to see him be a little more efficient as well. So those are our big three. Embiid needs to stay healthy. Paul George is valuable, and people are going to see that once we make the playoffs. And Maxey will be back at 100%. But then someone that maybe I've mentioned this before, just overall, I think I have, but I did not think VJ Edgecombe was going to be this disciplined and developed offensively at the age of 20, by the way, already not even all the way through his rookie year. It is absolutely ridiculous what we're watching. This does not happen. I think we all know that as Sixers fans. Like usually, rookies will take a year or two. We've got so lucky with these rookies these past 2 years. Jared McCain did a very similar thing. And then now we have VJ Edgecombe, which is actually doing it even more and not just shooting threes like Jared and making his own shots, but he's actually playing fantastic defense and and actually jumps out of the building. He is actually so fun to watch. So I saw a tweet from somebody that VJ Edgecombe plays like he's 6'5", and he's not, and it's like ridiculous. And they'll throw lobs to him, and he'll catch him, and he'll dunk on you. It's so entertaining to watch, and he's shooting the three ball so efficiently. I want people to understand that VJ Edgecombe was not that great of a 3-point shooter at Baylor last year. He really wasn't. He shot around 32%, I think, and he is absolutely lighting it up. To the point where I was watching games when it was just him and Maxey hurt his pinky and Paul wasn't back and Embiid was hurt, and it was just the VJ Edgecombe Sixers. And he actually, I think, hit 6 threes in a game. He had like 28 points in another game. Like he's just like so good, but it's not just like he's scoring 28 points and stopping. It's like a straight up scoring 28 points and playing fantastic defense on the perimeter. It's stuff like that I'm just like, wow, this kid's awesome. He's 20. He's literally 20. And I seriously believe this. I think in a lot of other years he would probably win Rookie of the Year, but because Con Knippel and Cooper Flag, the two Duke teammates, are absolutely ridiculous as well, is that's the reason why he's not going to win Rookie of the Year. This rookie draft, this past rookie draft has been so good recently, especially that it was very top heavy and it's been so good. Yeah, I you can't really talk about the Sixers right now without talking about VJ Edgecombe, and I didn't think I'd be able to say that in his first year. But yeah, so those are the big four right there. I talked a little bit about Barlow. Barlow, his impact is huge, and you kind of feel it whenever you watch the Sixers. It's literally all the hustle plays that you want. And sometimes he'll pop a three, sometimes, and sometimes he'll drive and dunk on you. But he's the hustle guy, and it's fun to watch. And our bench is actually not bad either. I do like the Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre coming off the bench. I didn't love them starting because they kind of play crazy, the two of them. But when they come off the bench, they can kind of be like that Energizer Bunny and play well. I like them. I like Adem Bona. Adem Bona has honestly developed for me a lot this year. Last year, I liked him a lot last year. But he just played like rookie. He fouled too much. Or sorry, like a rookie second round pick, big man. Like he fouled too much. It was almost like he was uncoordinated. And he didn't know how big he was almost like because he is huge and like you have to actually like recognize that as a player sometimes. But he's looked way better this year. The foul count is down on him. And they're playing him way more, which is fantastic to watch. But if there's one thing I need to see from Bona in the playoffs, it's or just progression wise. I need to see layups more, and I know it's weird to say about a center, especially a big man. But if you watch Adem Bona play, all he does is dunk. That's all that this dude. All he does is dunk, which is like entertaining to watch. But you're just like, what am I looking at? And that kind of eliminates a lot of like, the classic like big man drop steps or baby hooks or all of those. If he just develops that, I think he'll be great because he's already a great defensive player and he again can jump out of the gym, very similar to VJ, and he's fun to watch. But if you keep the foul count down, and I don't know, hit a layup or something, like I feel good about it. Dembona as their backup big. I personally prefer him over Drummond. I hope that's not a hot take, but like Drummond's good, and Drummond is good when Bona and Embiid aren't in. But he's also kind of slow, and in this he was actually really good. I think he was so good in like the 2010s because he fit in within that era so well, and like just this big man that actually will rebound the hell out of you and will put up 18 rebounds and like 12 points and absolutely cook you. And that worked in the 2010s, but in this day and age where you have to be able to shoot threes, not just in the corner, and you have to spread the floor a little bit. He's been a little better. That's why he's still on the team with shooting threes. But if you can spread the floor a little more and become a little more athletic, I feel like that's where the league kind of progressing to, which is cool, but it's not really Andre Drummond. And then the last thing I'll say about the Sixers is if there's going to be one thing that isn't the players that's going to hold them back, it might be Nick Nurse. I have less of an issue with the Sixers than Nick Nurse. I have less of an issue with Nick Nurse than the rest of the Sixers fans. Sorry, it's just a personal thing. I don't run initially to the manager in any sport. It like if there's something goes wrong, it's usually the player's fault. That's usually what I think. That's just how I think, and I don't think everything wrong is going with it. How do I? I'm trying to think of how I kind of word this. A lot of the issues do fall on the players, but I think a little bit is on Nick Nurse, and I feel like that little bit is way bigger than Daryl Morey kind of thinks. For example, like again, that Heat game was very winnable, and I know that they played that really weird zone, so we probably thought Quentin Grimes would be really good against that because he spreads the floor and he's really fast and plays with a lot of energy. What I will say is I disagree with the decision to use Grimes over Paul George down the stretch against the Miami Heat. And maybe that's because he's trying to ease Paul back in minutes wise, which I get. Like he didn't play for 2 or 3 months, 25 games. So do the math. But like I get if he's trying to do that, I guess. But two things. A, you're trying to get that 6 seed, and I think if there's anybody on this team that understands how important that sixth seed is, it's Nick Nurse, because Nick Nurse has been dealt the worst hand of cards these past 2 years with injuries. So I think if anybody should be aware of the sixth seed, it should be Nick Nurse. So I just disagree with the Grimes, playing Grimes, because you put George in there. It's not like George can't shoot threes, right? So you put George in there, and yes, he's a little slower, but at the same time, he also creates his shot a little better than Quentin Grimes. And I feel like in a zone, that's really important. And he's also really smart with the ball, which is why I would have picked that. And maybe if George was in, we would have won that Heat game, because if you watched, it was tied with like 2 minutes left, and then the Heat pulled away and they won by 10. Because Tyler Herro absolutely tore it up, which is fine because he's awesome. But I feel like also like you could have even put Paul George on to Tyler Herro. That's just in my opinion, that's what I would have done. Because he was unfortunately cooking BJ Edgecombe, and he put up like 30 some points out of Hero. So that's something that I'll have to keep an eye on as I watch more of these Sixers games down, the very end of the season into the play-in or playoffs, hopefully. But yeah, I feel very good about our chances going to the playoffs. But I will say the play-in is very possible for us, and it's funny. I actually feel confident against a lot of these play-in teams. I did see our record against teams above 500, and it's not good. But stats like that annoy me because we played a majority of this year without our big three or even two of them. So I feel like as soon as these guys actually start learning to play with each other, which they did until Paul got hurt, I think that they're going to tear it up in the play-in and hopefully go one and done and then just be the 7th seed and play, I believe, not the Celtics. The Celtics are 1. Wouldn't be the Knicks either. It's not the Cavs. Who is 2? Who is 2? I'm gonna look. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone now. I'm gonna look at who the 2 seed is, and I'm just gonna laugh. Why are the Sixers losing? Oh my gosh. Paul George is 16 points. Holy. Okay, sorry, I got sidetracked there. Okay, the Pistons are 1. The Celtics are 2. So, wow, that the difference there is huge. Oh, see, this is frustrating. Because if we just get that 6th seed, we're either gonna play the Cavs or the Knicks, and the Knicks have been trending down, so the Cavs really could take over that spot. Uh, and I think the Cavs are so beatable, in my personal opinion, especially for a very healthy Sixers team. I don't really want to play the Knicks, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, too, the more I just thought about it. Um, for the main reason of my mental well being, because I cannot see New York fans take over the Wells Fargo Center. And is it bad that I don't even blame the Sixers fans? Like, the Sixers fans are obviously trying to get tickets. Like, that's not the issue. It's the fact that Madison Square Garden is so expensive. And all these Knicks fans are pretty wealthy, or at least the ones coming down here to watch these games are pretty wealthy. And they're like, oh, let's go down here and watch the game. It's not necessarily even the Sixers fans' fault, but they're just actually the Knicks fans are actually being smart about spending their money. And I recognize it as a Sixers fan. I hate the Knicks, but I just don't want to play them and see that, because whenever that happens, I know it pisses off the players, it pisses me off, and it pisses the fans off who are both there and watching, because it looks even worse on TV when the Sixers score big roar, but then the Knicks score, there's actually a roar in the stadium, and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, as I'm watching, I'm just like, God, I hate it. So I'd much rather play the Cavs because I think they're so beatable, and I actually feel weirdly confident against the Cavs. And I would just like to see that matchup as well, because the Cavs really could beat us, which is fine, and actually all these teams could beat us. But I think we have a really solid chance against any of them, if we stay healthy. And I feel like I have to say that to end out the Sixers segment here. If they stay healthy, don't hurt yourself, Sixers. Joel Embiid, I'm looking at you. I love you. But you rolling around on the ground during the regular season is so scary, and I love it, because last thing I'll say about the Sixers, to other people that say that they don't like when Joel rolls around on the ground, just in general, I think you're dumb, in my opinion. Because what do you want him to do? What do you want a dude like Joel Embiid to do? Like, I think a part of his game is how hard he plays. And if you take how hard he plays out of the game, he's just taking mid-range jumpers and probably missing. But I think it's all the hustle plays that he goes after rebounds and loose balls that makes Joel Embiid who Joel Embiid is. Because that's always how he's been. even in his MVP year where he played a majority of the games, that's just how he was. He still dove after balls. That's just what he does. Um, so I just think that whoever like doesn't love how much effort he puts in, you're stupid. I just so disagree with you so hard. Uh, Whatever. That's how I'm gonna finish the Sixers. Hopefully they make it. Hopefully the next time I see a podcast, I'm obviously gonna do this in a week. Hopefully next time you see a podcast, we kind of know what the seating's gonna look like. Um, Whether that's during the play or they're not, because it could just be a Sixers only episode. I just yap at the Sixers, which is fine. Okay, so next is the Phillies, and as I said before, I could have done this podcast yesterday, and it would be a totally different tone and a totally different, like, I guess tone's right, totally different tone. And how I was really frustrated yesterday, I think, as everybody else was, that we've been getting absolutely manhandled by the Nationals somehow. It's been so frustrating. Um, However, there has been bright spots, and I will say that, and the bright spots have not been the players that we've seen here all these years at all. It's actually all the new guys. So, sorry. Let me actually start with those guys. I'm so impressed about what I've seen from Justin Crawford. If you guys have been tuned in to either myself talking about him or me and Caleb talking about him, my biggest worry with Justin Crawford was that he hits the ball on the ground too much. And it's almost like he's a little too much, like a lot of his hits are right down the lines, and I feel like that I didn't think that would really translate very well to the MLB. Except I'm apparently not good at analyzing Justin Crawford because that's exactly what's happening. He hit a walk off today, on a dinky single too. Fantastic on the ground, by the way. So it's like stuff like that I'm just like, what am I even talking about? Because it's working. It's working. He's. I'm starting to learn that he's just really good at going either gap to gap, or he's really good at finding the holes, whether that's up the middle, down the lines, or in between the shortstop and first, or sorry, shortstop and third, and second and first. He's really good at finding all the holes, whether that's a little line drive that's 70 miles off the bat, or it's down the line like 100 miles off the bat. That's kind of my thought with him. And he's been so good. He's been honestly the best part about this lineup, in my opinion. Just for vibes, he's a total change of vibes. He's so fast. He's a perfect 9 hitter. Anybody that says that he's not a 9 hitter is stop. He is not going to lead off for this team. That's fine. But he is so good as the 9 hitter, and he just flips the lineup over, and he makes you excited about, like, oh my gosh, like let me see someone new at the bottom of his lineup. He's been so good, and he's actually been really good in the outfield as well. I know that was an issue for a lot of people because he did used to play left and right field, which is definitely something to note overall, just because center field is so different from the two corner outfields. But yeah, he's played a really good center field. He's got a few really nice throws. So I'm really overall impressed with Justin Crawford. He's awesome. Andrew Painter yesterday on Tuesday for everybody watching on Thursday. Dude, he might be legit. Like, I knew he was good, and I knew that his fastball was good, if that makes sense. But if you watched our last one, I did say that in one of his starts in spring training, he threw like what he threw yesterday, like 96 and 98 in the first 2 innings, and then it kind of teetered off, and then he got beat up in the third and fourth innings. And it happened a few times in spring training, so I was like, let's tamper the expectations, and I still agree. Tamper your expectations. He's not going to pitch like that every game. He's not. But at the same time, be excited about this kid. You just saw what he could possibly do, and I just can't wait until. And I actually don't disagree with Rob taking him out so early. He's let him end on a high and let him kind of feel the crowd, give him a standing ovation. Now Tanner Banks and immediately allowing that runner from first to score, not great, just for the stats, but the vibes overall, dude, he's awesome. And I'm not gonna lie, didn't realize he throws 7 pitches. Yeah, it's nasty. I did not realize that. Didn't realize that he had a sinker either, and he actually struck someone or got a swing and miss or a strikeout on a sinker, and it was nasty because they fully thought it was a just straight four seam, and all of a sudden it just turns. And it was to a righty, and he was lost. Got the guy at bat. I forget who it was. Yeah, I forget who it was, but it was a hell of a pitch, and the way that he and JT were mixing pitches, and I think JT just called a fantastic game. However, I'm a little frustrated with JT overall. I'll get to that in a second, but we're staying positive in the beginning. Staying positive in the beginning. Um, he looked fantastic. The mixing, his curveball was nasty. His slider was nasty. Even his changeup was just dancing all over the place. It was electric. He is just so fun to watch, and I'm such a fan of him already. So yeah, great job by him. Another guy who I think has either the second highest average or the first highest is Adolis Garcia. Adolis Garcia is awesome. He's been hitting every day for the most part. He didn't get a hit in the first two games or game and a half or something like that, but he's been hitting. He's played a great right field. I forgot what a good right fielder looks like. Like there was a play. I mean, it did allow a run, but there was a play. Actually, I'll talk about two plays. The first one did allow a run, but it was just something that he ran it down, caught it, and then tried to throw a guy out at what's it called at third, but he was kind of in the corner in right field, and he threw an absolute bullet to the third base, and it either hit the player or went a little out. But it was an absolute bullet, and I was like, Nick Castellanos can't do that at all. He has an absolute like gun for an arm in right field. It's awesome. Then there's another play, I think for Andrew Painter. I think it was Tuesday, and he was shaded up the middle, so kind of towards center field, and then the ball was kind of hit. If he's looking at home plate, it's hit to his left, so kind of closer to the line. And he ranged all the way to his left and caught it, and it looked like easy. But then you watch the replay, and you're like, how did he get to that baseball? Another thing that Nick Castellanos probably couldn't have done. It's so refreshing seeing good defense in right field because right field's so important. I hope people understand that. Right field is so important, and usually, in little league and collegiate, it's usually the guy with the strongest arm. And the fact that we didn't have that for a few years, love Nick Castellanos, appreciate you, but Adolis Garcia's arm is just electric, and he hit a home run yesterday. Yesterday, yes, for Andrew Painter, and yeah, he's been everything that we've wanted so far. And if he just keeps having the sixth hole, I believe, after Stott, the sky's the limit for our guy or Garcia. So those are the positives. Chris Sanchez looked really good on opening day. Less so today. His command just wasn't there for whatever reason. Whether that was a lack of confidence, whether that was a lack of, who knows. But if I just see a little more command out of Chris Sanchez, I feel like we'll be all right. What else is positive? I'm not gonna lie, not a whole lot of positive about these last few games. I'm thinking that there's 2 wins there. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I'll think of something positive about these guys. But okay, not from negative. I will say, can we stop freaking out about Bryce Harper? Actually, let me rephrase that. Can we stop freaking out about Bryce Harper's stats? That's something that really frustrates me because if you're looking at like his batting average and the fact that he went 2 or 3 for whatever, then you need to reevaluate how you look at baseball. Bryce Harper just came off of and Kyle Schwarber, by the way, just came off of a rigorous tournament that pretty much simulated a playoff series, except it wasn't a series. It was just game 7 after game 7 after game 7. So that's A. So they're definitely not fatigued. Fatigue is definitely not that. But it's more like it's not opening day for them. That wasn't like their first game playing. Like they were playing in the World Baseball Classic. So let's pump brakes on them. I'm not gonna lie, but you've also seen a trend for American players right now that it has now taken them a little longer to get back into the swing of things after they stopped playing for Team USA. Roman Anthony has looked really bad. He actually hit a home run today, similar to Harper, by the way. Good job, Harper. But he hit a home run today, but was awful leading up till today. Schwarber hit a not leadoff. Sorry, he doesn't hit leadoff. A home run in the first inning on opening day, and they got one more hit within there. So slow. Aaron Judge struck out 4 times on opening day. There is trends. It's not just Bryce Harper who's struggling. So let's stop freaking out about that, please. I beg you. He's also playing pretty good defense at first base. That our one win against the Rangers a very underrated play at first base. If he doesn't catch the ball and tag, if he doesn't catch the ball at all, it hits the bag, and then probably goes somewhere, and then it's a tie game. So let's stop freaking out about Bryce Harper's stat. Now, something I will say that we can kind of observe about Bryce Harper, right? His attitude seems off. I don't know how to describe it. It almost looks like he's uninterested to be there, and that's very un-Bryce Harper like. And I don't really know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that Dombrowski made the comments and that he has all these expectations in his head. But we're never first of all, we're never gonna get a response out of this. I'm just saying of what I'm saying. I just need to see a better attitude out of Bryce Harper. Um, and I need to see you more engaged. That's the big thing with this past, this past what's it called homestand. Um, no one looked engaged outside of the young guys or the new guys or Edmundo Sosa. No one looked engaged. Like Trey Turner looked so like I'm actually about to talk about him in just a second, but he did not look into it. Even Schwarber wasn't super into it. I did appreciate Schwarber being annoyed when he would get out though. Like I appreciate that. Like he cares. Bryce looked uninterested to be there. Alec Bohm always looks uninterested to be there. Even Bryson Stott, that was also something that surprised me. He also, I know he's usually like a very even keel guy, but like he just didn't. Something seemed off about this team's vibes, and I don't know how to describe it. And then, but the most unfortunate thing, in my opinion, is I'm watching, and those like they're not negative. I don't know if they're negative vibes, but just like the lack of vibes is kind of spreading into the fan base too. Like we're like I could tell that the crowd isn't as into it because they're so pent up and annoyed at this team that like the pops aren't as loud, but the pops for boos are real loud type of thing, and they're just so frustrated. And I think that the fans do have the liberation to boo. Like you're there and you want to see something, and I think it goes further than that. I think they're not just booing this specific team this year; they're booing the past few years of failures. They're booing the Christopher Sanchez not getting the strike in the seventh inning against the Dodgers. They're booing the Mets series. They're booing the fact that we couldn't close out Game 6 and Game 7 in Philadelphia against the Diamondbacks. They're booing Chas McCormick making a big play, robbing JT Realmuto of a extra base hit in the eighth inning up against the wall. They're booing all of that. So I totally get why they're booing, and I would probably boo along with them. Um, is it a little excessive sometimes? Sure, but at the same time, if we're gonna be known as like the stadium that make people want to cry, then we're also gonna have to make our own team want to cry sometimes because we don't. Here's the most beautiful thing about Philadelphia, and I see this in all the sports, and it's real. It honestly has really showed this past weekend slash into today. Um, we don't really accept low effort, and I think that's something that you've seen across all the sports. Um, if the it's the way that the Phillies are losing. It's the way that they get no hit for 6 innings, and then they decide to turn it on in the eighth or ninth inning. Yeah, we're gonna boo you. You didn't look like you cared for the first 6 innings, and now all of a sudden you cared. Yeah, we're gonna boo you. It's like stuff like that. It happened twice over the weekend, and that was so hard to watch because you're. It's one thing to like go cold from. This is my opinion, right? It's one thing to go cold from inning two to inning like set. That's one thing. But if you score a run in the first inning, then you can do that, and that's fine. But if you literally don't get a hit for 6 innings straight, it's so hard to keep the common fan kind of locked in, and it kind of goes past like all their name values as well. Um, just like it's really frustrating, and that happened twice over the weekend. And Monday happened, and then it kind of all boiled over on Tuesday morning and on the radio and Monday night on the radio as well. But stuff like that. But Philadelphia does not accept low effort, and because we're not going to support you with low effort. We're going to support you as fans in the highest effort that we could possibly do. And I can say that confidently as being a fan of all four sports in Philadelphia and the Union as well. Think about all the fans. The fans aren't just the common fan going in there looking to be entertained. We're not going in there like, oh yeah, like you can get blown out and we'll still clap for you when you hit a home run when Rafael Marchand when he hits a Chris Paul home run. Like we're not going to do that. we're going to cheer when we're ahead, and we're going to let everybody know around us who isn't a Phillies fan or isn't an Eagles fan or isn't whoever a fan that we're better than you. That's what we're going to do. That's just the way that the common Philadelphia fan thinks. But when you show us on the field low effort, we're gonna boo the hell out of you. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And you can see it in all sports. You've seen it this past weekend with the Phillies. You've seen Eagles fans actually boo the team coming off of winning a Super Bowl against the Cowboys at halftime because they didn't look like they cared. And that happened. We boo the Sixers all the time. The Flyers are a little less because we have no expectations. But for those three, we boo when there's no effort. We will not boo if you're showing effort and you just happen to lose. Because 8 out of 10 times I'll say, if you show the level of effort that we want to see, it's either going to be a close game and we're going to lose, or we're going to blow them out. There's no between. And I feel that's just my personal opinion, and you can agree or disagree. I don't really care. But if you don't rise to the level of effort for the Philadelphia fan, then the Philadelphia fan's going to let you know in your face at the game in their seats, booing the hell out of you. Just my opinion. Now, something else I will say about this weekend. I was a little surprised about a few things. I mean, I was surprised about the fact that um, we lost the series to the Rangers. However, people are kind of discounting the Rangers. The Rangers are pretty good, if I'm going to be honest with you. Um, I actually like their new coach. I think he's pretty good. Um, their pitching's really good. People don't really understand that. Their starting pitching's really good. They have Evaldi. They go Evaldi, who is a playoff legend for multiple teams. Actually, the Rangers and the Red Sox, if you think about it. Jacob deGrom, one of the greatest pitchers of my generation. Is he older? Sure. But he's still great. And Mackenzie Gore, who not only is really good and really up and coming and was the Nationals ace, and who knows what the Nationals trade. I don't understand. I actually am friends with a bunch of National fans. Like go to JMU. They don't understand it. I don't understand it. I Who knows? I'm lost. I'm actually so happy he's out of my division though, because thank God. So he's actually really good, and he destroys the Phillies sometimes. There's no. I feel like if you just watch, there's no in between when you see a Mackenzie Gore against Phillies like matchup. It's either really close sorry, not really close. One of two things: we either shell him and we score 6 runs in 2 innings, or he destroys us like what happened on Sunday, and no hits us for 6 innings. There's no in between. He did the same thing with the Nationals. There's no in between. Think about opening day last year. Didn't we have like 16 strikeouts? It was in the teens of strikeouts on opening day. I know we had 20 strikeouts total on opening day. It was embarrassing. But he was starting pitcher for that game and he mowed us down. So I think the Rangers are a little better than what people kind of give them credit for. They also have a pretty good platoon. I actually like Evan Carter, not because we share the same name, but because he's good at baseball. I honestly believe. And their lineup's not that bad either. However, we should have looked better. The one thing that me and Caleb talked about that was not portrayed on the TV, or if you're in the ballpark, or if you're listening to the radio. The one thing that was not portrayed is that we have good pitching outside of Christopher Sanchez. Every single pitcher outside of Sanchez on opening day, Painter on Tuesday, and then Sanchez today, kind of. Everybody else got shelled just randomly. Duran has like 4 ERA right now. Duran is interesting, and I really like Caleb Compton a lot. And I mentioned that in the last podcast. Check that out if you'd like. I really like Caleb Compton, but the way that he's kind of, I don't know how am I gonna say this. He's changing Duran's approach to just be a junk pitcher in like a weird way, and he's not. If you notice, he's not throwing that 102 all the time. Maybe it's because I have noticed that it is around 98 to 99 right now. So maybe it's the velocity dip that right now, but that's also, by the way, we should not be worried about that. It's April 1st. The velocity comes with time, believe. So that's all I'm going to say about Duran's fastball, believe me. Let's not freak out about the fastball yet. I'm not going to freak out, but I just want to see it utilized more. And maybe that's why it wasn't recently, because it's dipped in velocity, and maybe we'll see it moving forward. But like, how can you just throw your splitter and your knuckle curve and then think that a dude like Johan Duran, who's known for throwing heat, is going to be successful? That's why he's been hit around a little bit. There's been like random singles and all of that. He's got like a 4 ERA, I think, right now. He had a 5.8 ERA coming into Wednesday. Probably went down after he let up no runs today. Um, but yeah, dude, I need to see. I just need to see a little better consistency. I think from Duran pitching wise, um, and the pitch mix as well. And who knows if that's a Conklin thing? Who knows if that's a JT thing or even if it's a Duran thing? I think it might be a Caleb Conklin slash JT Omicho thing, but hopefully that gets addressed. But yeah, the bullpen stunk. Other than pretty much Brad Keller, Zach Pop looked awful. Tanner Banks didn't look amazing today. He also got shelled in the back of the foot the other day, which is not great. Yeah, it's like stuff like that. I'm just like, what is happening? And Lusardo didn't look great. Nola looked like the old Nola in like a bad way. Taijuan Walker is unfortunately Taijuan Walker has a 12 point whatever ERA right now. And I love Rob Thompson, like as a person. As a coach, he's really frustrating sometimes. This would be the only thing I say. And I know I mentioned this with Nick Nurse, but I'm not one to go immediately to the coach. I'm one to be like, this player stinks. You need to get better. You need to get better individually. And I feel like the player would appreciate that as well because they probably do. Um, I I think he's the right dude for the job. I just think his two things actually about Rob Thompson here. Number one, I feel like his laid backness can be a strength and a weakness. A strength in keeping a team grounded in a close game, not getting too gung ho on certain things, not going crazy on his players, not freaking out on his players in situations where you don't need to freak out at your players. I think he's really good at that. Not doing that, and I think and they've actually said this before, but there's that silent confidence, and I think that really works in their advantage. The weakness is that he is pretty much if you have a bad, as you can see, a pretty bad series, he can't really pick up the team by himself, and maybe that's the silent confidence not working. But when a team goes bad, and you need a coach to motivate, I don't think Rob Thompson is the guy for that. I also don't love the platooning he's been doing. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Edmundo Sosa made me eat my words real quick today because I was like, I'm so sick of Bryson Stott being platooned for because he can hit lefties and he's shown that before. So whenever a lefty comes in and then he immediately puts Edmundo Sosa out, what are you doing? Like that makes no sense. But obviously it worked out in their favor today because Edmundo not only had the game tying hit but also a game saving catch at second base. So believe me, I know I'm probably wrong today. But I feel like it's that platooning that's kind of like Bryson Stott is 29 years old, everybody. 28 or 29 years old. Like, he's not young anymore. I feel like this platoon situation that Thompson's been doing with him for his entire career has kind of stunted his growth. How do you expect a younger player years ago to get better against left-handed pitching if you're never going to play against left-handed pitching? That's just my personal opinion. And maybe that's the fact that, Bryson Stott's, this is not a curse, but what was cursed with being put on a really good team, expect to win now, so he can't really grow through those or go through those growing pains, right? And maybe that's the aspect of it. But how do you expect a team or a player to kind of get out of that by not putting him in those situations at all? And I know he's definitely not practicing it because why would he practice it if he's never going to be put in those situations? If you know what I mean. So that's really frustrating to watch. Didn't understand sitting Justin Crawford on Monday. I think everybody can agree with that. He is 22. Why would you sit him after 3 games? It doesn't make any sense to me. And his thing was like he wants to get him off his feet after 3. It didn't make any sense to me. So that bothered me by Rob. Now, the last thing that kind of bothered me about Rob Thompson, this will be the last thing I'll say about Rob, but it's his constant defense on Taijuan Walker is so confusing to me. Taijuan goes up and lets up 10 hits by himself, lets up 6 runs. Not good, to say the least. Not good. We obviously lost that game by a lot. Made it put in Dylan Moore in game 4. If you think about it, that's insane. We had to play position player in game 4 to pitch. That's bad. With that being said, why is my manager defending him wholeheartedly? A little defense is cool because he's on your team. I totally get it. But Rob, word for word, said, yeah, his stuff wasn't that bad. His stuff was pretty good. how is your stuff pretty good if you let up 10 hits? I don't understand it because, I mean, that definitely means that he's in the strike zone. Now, I will admit, I did watch a little bit of that game, a little less than the other games, but there's a lot of weak contact overall, and that's probably what he's referencing, which I get. Again, you're defending your player, and I get it. You're the coach. What's he gonna do? Like drag somebody? That's not what Rob Thompson does. But sometimes Rob will lie to the media, and that's really frustrating because you have somebody that will straight up do that on one side of the spectrum and give you almost a little too much, or give you too much of absolutely nothing, or you have Nick Sirianni who talks about absolutely nothing up on the podium. There's no between. Like, why can't we just be honest with us? Like, it's really frustrating. But yeah, those are the things I had with Rob Thompson. But again, I'm not gonna overreact. Can we stop freaking out over the first 6 games too? Like, was I frustrated? Absolutely, and I let the people around me know. Like, I was frustrated. I wasn't pissed. I was just frustrated, and it was hard to watch, which is not how I felt about the regular seasons since the middle of 22. I always was like, okay, they're actually fun to watch. Like, let me go watch some home runs or something. But like this weekend into today, a little bit, actually a lot into today in the beginning, they're just not very fun to watch, and I think that's why I was so frustrated because I wasn't enjoying watching the Phillies. Does that mean I'm ever going to stop watching the Phillies? Absolutely not. And I think it's a lot of people that are freaking out are the people that didn't really watch a whole lot from 2013 to 2017, or from 2013, actually 2012, really, from 2012 until 2022. It's a lot of those people that are kind of overreacting the most because they didn't have to deal with Cesar Hernandez at second base or Michael Franco at third base, hoping that Hector Neris doesn't blow a save in 2016 or something like that. Like, they didn't have to deal with all of that, and I did at a pretty young age. So I just knew the Phillies as this horrible playing franchise. So like, I'm not overreacting to the first 6 games. If anything, I think today was a big step forward. JT finally hit a baseball and seemed like he was conscious just in general. And he also threw someone out at second, so that was a really good progression because we did just sign him to a 3-year, $45 million contract. So he kind of needed to see something. So yeah, that was something that was good out of today. Harper hit a home run, but you know. So that's kind of what I'm going to end with here. Like, let's stop freaking out to 6 games. Stop. It's a little much. Now, can you say that they should have played better? Absolutely. Can you say that you're frustrated? 100%. But to say that season's a wash after 6 games is ridiculous to say out loud. It's ridiculous to say out loud. I'm gonna say it again. It's like, if you're really gonna say that, then don't watch, because that's baseball. It is the peaks and the valleys. It's the peaks and the valleys, and you have to enjoy it all. You have to endure it all. You can't stop. If you stop now, and this is again the last thing I'll mention on podcast today. You cannot, in my opinion, as if you want to call yourself a baseball fan and a Phillies fan specifically, you have to live and die by every single day, like, and not necessarily like you get upset if we lose one game, but as soon as we win the other games, you're saying that we're the greatest team. No, you live with the trends, you live with the vibes, you watch a lot of the games, and you enjoy the regular season. That's what I need everybody to start doing in this city. Enjoy the regular season. Don't just say I'll see you in October, because if you just say I'll see you in October and they let you down, then you wasted 6 months of your life. And this team is not going to be together for 6 months, so let's enjoy it. That's what I'm going to leave us off with today. Watch the regular season, enjoy the regular season. We've seen some peaks and valleys already, and we're only 6 games in. So what a sport. That's all I got about baseball. What a sport. But thank you all so much for watching today. I appreciate you. But whether you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, I appreciate it. Check us out on all our social media, accounts on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I will see you in the next one. I think the next one I'm going to do very similar format, definitely Phillies, and whether it's the Eagles. I saw a Jalen Hurts thing that came out today. Obviously, I didn't really want to talk about it because I like Jalen, but I hope it's false. Whether it's the Eagles or the Sixers, but we'll talk about it then. Whether it's me, whether it's Caleb, whether it's both of us, who knows? We'll see. But yes, I will see you in the next one. Appreciate you guys for watching. All right, go Phils.